Krakatoa.
Wow. We're back. We're always back. We're never not back.
Oh, I'm going to immediately stop you. We need to take this opportunity to make some amendments, such as apparently neurotoxin clouds can't hurt you.
Wait, so you did actually think that?
Yeah.
I assumed the comment just misconstrued it, or you said it wrong.
I'm just misinformed about neurotoxin grenades.
The clouds aren't damaging. Is not the issue. It's the complete fucking blinding is the issue with the default clouds.
Yeah, and that's why what that turned into. I mean, they all turn into some kind of other suggestion, and for that one, it was actually just we make it so you can see better. That's sort of where that went. The other amendment is we flipped these videos. Miscellaneous videos and podcasts have just been flipped on the day that they're going to come out, and that's it. Just to clear that up, mainly because I know that more people will watch this than most recent podcast. Either way, that's because this is Le Dev Q&A, which is a fantastic little article you can on the wiki that you can go straight. It's actually not small at all, although they do have it sectioned into like seasons now. But like, so it's not. I guess so it doesn't have to load everything at once. That was quite smart. There'll be a link to it in the description. I honestly feel like we haven't actually had the link before, which shouldn't be the case. But don't worry, it's there right now. I hope, as long as I remember to put it there. And this is just a collection of basically all of the questions and answers, or is it all of them? It's not all of them, is it? Not literally everything.
Basically everything the person that made this decided is worth adding to this.
Yeah, and even then,
any metric.
We file it down, probably not by a majority, but still a noticeable amount. Even then, because we've seen a lot of this stuff before, and I think the reason why this is anything of value is because, well, first of all, you don't want to if you want to get any kind of insight aside from just the Steam posts about what they're doing and what they're thinking, I wouldn't recommend sitting through dev streams for that purpose. And even then, you can just read this yourself, and that's perfectly fine. But we have a little bit more experience with this, so we kind of can interpret it maybe a little bit more accurately, maybe. Because it's paraphrasing. It is paraphrased, really. Not the exact words from either party, really. Maybe the suggestions are pretty much exact, but the responses are abbreviated.
The best source would be the streams themselves, but you probably want to be there when they're done than be catching up on them, right? I think that is something. We advertise this, which I think is fair, but we also don't just advertise, watch the dev streams.
Yeah, it's also not like this isn't a major game of catch up anyway. I mean, this is everything from August. Although I think the final week might be missing. I hope that's just missing and doesn't come back, because then it would have to be in the next one. Sorry for the voice crack. Anyway, it was very easy as well to find where the jumping off point, because I just it was just the fucking Lucio thing, and it was just after that. Yeah. So we're going from there up to the top, and don't get worried if we skip over anything. I don't really know how to explain that, because it's not like I'm gonna like we could briefly explain what like the recurring answer is for something, if we have to, but either way. Do you want
to start?
Do you want to start? You can do the first one. Can you read it?
Wow. The technical one?
Yeah, only because of the response.
Optimization is something they do continuously.
Whoa, hold on. The suggestion was optimize the game for potatoes.
PCs.
Potato PCs.
But we shouldn't expect the performance to get a lot better going forward.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, well, it is that the game is only ever going to have more and more shit on it. Like, it's only going to get worse for worse, like, consoles and PCs and stuff like that. Like, I imagine the game is damn near unrunnable on the older gen Xbox, right?
Yeah.
Like, I assume Rockpox, it probably brings the frames down to single digits.
My God. Well, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's like such a small game, but I think it's definitely more demanding than. Well, no, people kind of get it now. It's like there's actually a fair amount of complaints in regards to this kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'd say it's probably stability is definitely less of an issue, but actual like performance is becoming more and more of an issue actually. And frankly, there's not like a really clear thing they can do about that. Really.
Yeah, just keep an eye on it, really. Like, make sure they don't add anything that fucks things over too badly.
Or trust in the exponential advancement of technology.
Yeah.
Not that the stuff gets cheaper. It gets better, but it also gets more expensive. It's not like just the new version of the previous thing. So it's always getting more expensive. Which is kind of whack. That's me. Anyway, wow. Suggestion: vanilla space rig with no season decorations. Apparently, they'll scale the Rockpox details down once it's over. Each season will probably have some thematic visual elements. Who knows? Now they'll scale the Rockpox details down, which almost implies that there's probably still going to be some VATs around. I think, doesn't it?
I would blame them.
No, I think that makes sense as well.
Just delegate them like a lot. Like maybe leaving some in the med bay, because I think that makes sense. Just having like maybe a VAT or two in the med bay.
I mean, well, I always saw the med bay as sort of like just surplus storage. Like, actually, they ideally wouldn't keep them in the med bay because that's probably not very
well, it's where the science
hygienic.
goes down.
Well, maybe they should add a lab. Although the med bay, if you subscribe to the cloning theory, then the med bay is a lab, certainly. Either way, yeah, specifically in regards to the like Space Rig editions in season 3, the seasonal Space Rig editions of season 3. Yeah, I mean, I can see a couple VATs remaining. Maybe you can put other stuff in them as well. This is bizarre because I don't really know what the guy is asking for. Add Corruptor to the shower event. But the shower is small meteor, so don't really know what they're asking for. Corruptors are supposed to come from shards that have time to grow. It's that angsty teenage phase, aka they just come from the big ones. What about mini corruptor? What about small corruptor?
Extra question: what the adult phase is then?
Oh yeah, you're
could
actually.
Could it be a sentient meteor that flies past planets and drops a bunch of rockpox on them?
Probably.
It might be something like that. Is my theory. My game theory.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they don't waste time answering though in season 5. To be honest.
Yeah.
Suggestion: add damage. I'd still like it. Add damage to mining lasers on director's canisters. No plans. When they started out for Escort Duty, they specifically didn't want that. But maybe they revisit that at some point. Well, I don't think that is necessary either.
No, but it's another sign thinking that, I think it shows they have light intentions of like redoing Escort Duty. The fact that like they knew like when they made this Escort Duty that was not on the table, it feels like the fact that they think maybe they'll revisit it means that like when they come back to Escort Duty, which has been a slight implication, like they're gonna do some serious things.
Yeah, no, it's always a question of when, unfortunately. But I do like the wording of like revisit, as in if they look at Escort Duty, it will be like them revisiting it rather than just basic touch ups. The kind of touch ups that could apply to all missions. It sounds like if they do look at Escort Duty, they'll be looking at Escort Duty. So I think we've got at least that to go on, which is what makes it ripe for the kind of like, I guess side makes it sound too small, but something like we've used it before as well. It's like the cave shapes thing in season 3, where it's in the patch notes. It's something they clearly put time into, but it's still a side to the main content that the season brings. That's still the kind of slot that we kind of think it should occupy. At least I do. Yeah.
Unless they do like a real big one that out of nowhere, where they tackle all the biggest issues that people have with the game in just one update, right? And that's like the whole fucking thing.
Obviously, that could only be done if they don't try and add another faction. Because I think that's the next step. Making seasons better is not doing that for once. So, and I'm kind of expecting that from season 5, to be honest. All right. Suggestion: victory poses as emotes during missions. Apparently, it's too hard. Which I don't think is the problem. Besides, they want to keep the mission gameplay more serious and silly, which sounds strange, but it's true. The gameplay isn't silly. There are a couple elements that slip their way in, especially during like this holiday events and elements like Loretta's head. But the gameplay's it's definitely got that, and they've kept that as well. Everything outside of it that gets more silly, or has more silly elements that they continue to expand upon. I don't think the game's getting more silly necessarily, and we don't need emotes really either. Although,
Yeah,
yes, anything?
we don't. Full stop.
Okay. Suggestion: penalty for repairing something that's under attack. Apparently, they do it with the drill dozer. Its repair speed is lower when taking damage, but not anywhere else. I don't know how to feel about that. I really don't. I just don't know. Also, there's not many other things. I guess the only other thing that you can repair while it's being attacked is really just the rock crackers. Which I guess implies that doesn't apply there.
It technically has health. Otherwise, you could do like oil refinery bits, but they don't really have health, right?
Yeah.
But they can be attacked while you're repairing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying technically, there are other things, but that's like the only one with health. So it's not really worth something. I don't know why this guy even wanted that thing in the first place, really.
Oh shit! Just fucking dragged my earphones out of my ears with my knee. Sorry. No, okay, whatever. We should probably move on anyway. Make all ranged enemies target the player's friends. They probably could, and they probably won't. Whatever. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means. Suggestion: add sandwiches. It's one of the popular suggestions.
That's because you talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, like not the dev team, but the game. The game is like sandwiches this, sandwiches that. You get more ammo, but you lose sandwich space, stuff like that.
Well, basically, what sandwiches is at this point is one of the last things that's like exists in the game that is ripe to become a new system.
That and error cubes, but error cubes we might never see the light of day of.
Well, the error cubes will probably never see the light of day.
Yeah, like
or thing.
They could, but they probably won't.
Yeah. Fix explosive reload on Zapata when low on ammo. They fixed it for season 4, but the fix made dreadnoughts take damage through armor, so it was reverted. Might have to wait until season 5. Is that to do with when you're completely out of ammo, or you have no more you have no more reserve ammo?
I remember seeing that was a thing, but I forgot about it. But yeah, I think they did it for the other one, maybe. Because obviously there's 2 explosive reloads, aren't they? So I think there was like a flat, like if a reload effect, if there's no more ammo, it does it anyway. But I guess it didn't work with the Zapata one.
Yeah.
Or maybe all of them.
Alright, guys. Season 5 confirmed. There's been to glean from that. Scars as cosmetics. They thought of that, as well as prosthetics too. That'd be sick. But the cosmetic system is old and needs to be changed to support things like these. That's some very strong acknowledgement of the not necessarily them saying we gotta do that, but they're also like, yeah, it's old, man. It's like
but I think it does imply that once it gets to the point where it's like we should do it, they know they need to do it, right?
They need to be put into a corner by cosmetics, like they need to be in a position where it's like we're almost running out, in the sense that there's a lot of stuff that we want to do that we can't. Like the majority of the stuff that we came up with for like this season, for example, we actually can't do because of the system. That's what they need to get the situation they need to be in, and then maybe something will change.
And the issue is, I think a lot of people, and what we know, a lot of people wouldn't see a cosmetic overhaul as being actually valuable content. Like a fair amount of people would, but like a solid amount of people would see a cosmetics overhaul, a cosmetic system overhaul as being like a third, if less, of value than like the perk rework overhaul, right? That like it is not the same thing. It would be a waste of their time.
Oh, I mean,
Which
because I mean, I would kind of agree with that anyway. That is less valuable, so far from a waste of time. But I personally hope that they're not thinking too much about that anymore. At least it's not as much they used to. Because let's be honest, nothing is pleasing everyone anymore. And that some of that could be down to what they have been doing. A lot of it's just down to how many players there are now. Not everything is going to please everyone anymore. So I don't know if that's even the right thing. Just do good things that are objectively good, you know, even if some people don't like it. And really overhauling the cosmetic systems would be one of those. Either way, done that a lot. So I think this stuff makes Steam, probably not going to happen. Same with the anniversary thing, where they make them unique. The biggest source of FOMO is these two things. It just,
yeah,
and I still feel the same way. I just don't care, I guess, which is maybe is not a healthy way to look at it.
it's the point of an anniversary hat, right? Like the Steam Awards hats, I kind of get because that I don't know all of them, but one of them was like some weird one that I don't have that you have, right? And the other one is the Viking helmet, isn't it? That was a Steam Awards hat. You can't actually get that.
No.
So I'm kind of like fair enough for those hats. Those are good. Like that's a good hat. I don't know about the other one, but that's a good hat that I would feel really sad about not having. And it's not really justified to not have it. Like I know it was like a reward for that thing occurring, and that they weren't there when it occurred. But like, it's kind of like you could have just added it to the game generally as the reward.
So
But
hold on, we're still talking about the anniversaries, yeah?
Steam hats, I think there is more justifiable to put in back into the game normally.
Oh, yeah, because the anniversary hats are literally, they're not, they're kind of nice, right? But they're party hats, they're birthday hats. Like they are even more so than a lot of the other holiday hats, right? They are much more so just symbols of the fact that you were playing during that time. That's all they are. So it really doesn't, especially the most recent one where it's just a big fucking 5. Like I really don't, people don't need them. You don't need them. You think you want it, but you don't.
It's just because it's sad that they missed out on those years, but it's kind of tough. Like it's kind of tough. That's how it is. But the Steam Awards hats, I think they're genuinely good cosmetics that are just locked for no real good reason.
Yeah, well, because I believe the like obviously there's the weird one, but I think the like the hard hat with like the big blue DRG logo on it is one of them as well. And that's all right. And obviously the bolted marauder is popular. Obviously, it's like it's like a historically incorrect Viking hat. So yeah, absolutely. Anniversary ones, whatever.
You mentioned that they're leaning more towards Steam hats than the anniversary ones, if any, which makes sense.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like properly and no plans, so it's yes, word wise. Add real eyes. What? What, like ultra realistic eyes? Like as like an option, whatever. Medic class, obviously we know about medic class, or just just fifth classes in general. But apparently, dwarves have 1 trillion bones, and their physiology is unknowable, and that's why there are no medics. Because they can't be. Well, there you go. There's a lore explanation for why there's no medic class and never will be, because it's literally impossible to do that with dwarves.
I like the next one.
DRG and Nintendo Switch. Oh, go on then.
Sorry, the Switch is too weak. We should tell Miyamoto that we want DRG on a stronger console.
Well, there was actually a weird, interesting like discussion recently, and like where Phil Spencer, almost said Phil Swift again. He basically said that if Nintendo and Xbox would like to collaborate in some big way, it would be like a massive win-win. And then everyone was just like, "Oh, that's just Phil just trying to like recuperate his losses. It's just desperation." And it's just like, no, Nintendo would benefit way more than anyone else by actually putting their games on consoles that can run them well. Like Nintendo would benefit massively. Like,
it would earn shit tons of money if like their games could be played somewhere else.
I could play fucking Mario. I don't have a Switch. That's the problem. But there's quite a few games I want to play. Mainly Mario Maker 2, but
yeah, but no, the Switch is too weak. I like that.
Yeah,
Like,
the thing is, it can run like Tears of the Kingdom at 30, so I feel like it could do it. Have you seen fucking Mortal Kombat 1 on Switch, like the new Mortal Kombat game?
no.
Oh, I'll show you afterwards. Fucking funny. More FOV options. How much do we want? I mean, I kind of want more. I'll go up to 200. Add a magic reconnect button. It's kind of there, but it's fickle. I don't know how, like, what it is in the game at the moment. But yeah, that's actually a long running thing, really. Like, it's like by reconnect button, that's like reconnect to the game you just disconnected from, isn't it? That's what that means. Like a reconnect button.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it should be a thing. Maybe it's just really annoying. All right, shrink range, no plans. That's just like a very flat refresher of that answer. Not happening.
Yeah.
Bio-specific mission types. No, that would be too inflexible. Yeah, bad idea. bad idea. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Collab with Minecraft, e.g. Armor for Steve. They don't think they will unless Microsoft comes in and drops $1 billion bag on the table. Usually, they say that as a joke, but probably true, and I respect that.
Hell, why wouldn't you at that point, right?
Exactly. Add a duck. They guess there's nothing preventing them from adding a duck to the game. Like add like a fucking like a origami one, like the crow. Origami ducks are pretty common, aren't they? That's like a thing.
Add a squeaky duck with it. They pick it up and they squeak it and they giggle like a little child and then put it back down.
The fuck is wrong with you? Okay. Same as Student Rage. It's just a refresher. It has 6 seasons. Although it's not as hard, but yeah, no. I mean, the only thing I'll say about that is I do still believe that pretty much everyone who plays Hazard 5 would probably move up to Hazard 6. But yeah, whatever. What? Release the level edit. Oh, as in basically release the dev tools that they use to make levels. Releasing the room editor they use would be essentially releasing the game itself. Yes, in Deep Rock Galactic's case, where it's procedurally generated, that is true. Basically, that is basically the game. It's it's like an automatic level designer. It's just, yeah. I mean, it'd be cool if they did. Add a range meter for the grapple hook for HUDless play, which is apparently possible, which is not like the drill anglometer thing. That's like a thing that would be on the grappling hook, pretty sure. Like, because it says for HUDless play. So you wouldn't have any HUD elements. So it'd be something, because it already has the range on it, so it would just put that number on the grappling hook itself on a little display.
It's a point gun. It has like the range and stuff on it.
Does it actually have it on the gun?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, why not? All right, basic one. Wow, I'm not even going to touch that. Rebalance more weapons. It's not planned, but it probably happened anyway. It's Mike. Mike will never stop turning those dials. Mike, our Lord and Savior. Now we know the name. I mean, I did say Mike recently. I said I think it's Mike, but now we know for sure. Mike, you're doing the Lord's work, and I hope they just let him loose like every season, like they did season 4. It's fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
I wonder what Mike's thoughts on them. Like, if Mike thinks the game's really balanced, or he knows their weapons stronger. Like, Mike's thoughts on weapon balancing is essentially the only one.
I reckon he either does think it's unbalanced, or he just doesn't care, in the sense that he'll do anything.
Yeah.
It will just buff anything that he feels like. Basically, it's either that or he does like get it. I feel like there's no middle ground. He's probably not like just being puppeteered. I don't know. Accessibility escape option for ice/rockbox. They looked into that. It's tricky because if it's too good, everyone just enables it and it's a plain time stun. Now, okay, we're actually going to talk about this at some point, but it's like the Rockbox thing, an accessibility option where it's like you don't have to shake the joystick back and forth. Is basically what they're saying, and they're like, basically what they're saying, what the devs are saying, is that would remove the challenge. But the problem isn't that it's hard. The problem is that it sucks.
Yeah, I think the issue is they're right. Everyone will use it, and they're not seeing the fact that everyone wants to opt out of that experience means that it's not a particularly nice experience.
Yeah, they're sort of not seeing the reality here a little bit, getting a little bit of tunnel vision from their own creation, their own decision there.
They added something that everyone would skip if they could. and they know that, which is why they're not giving anyone to skip it instead of creating a solution to where people wouldn't want to skip it, right? Like it's just kind of silly. Like yeah, I don't know. I think it does feel like they're a bit blind to Rockpox. Like they got
Well, they're probably in a way not thinking about it right now, you know,
yeah.
for very
Well,
obvious
they
reasons.
got the weaknesses of the rivals, right? It really felt like they kind of heard everyone and they kind of tackled it in whichever way they could. But it really feels like they think they've nailed Rockpox.
Only because it wasn't as bad on day one, the response,
Yeah.
I reckon. Yeah, well, we'll talk about it soon. Gyro camera control for PC. I don't really know what it is. Sounds like it could be a mod. They said it could work if this feature is supported on PC, but they're unsure. Whatever. Don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. Raid mission. No plans to do anything with teams above 4 players. It would be awesome, but it sounds like a pretty big endeavor. Either way, a raid mission that's still within the bounds of 4 players is kind of what Industrial Sabotage is, but I'd like to see a more dedicated one where it really is like a raid mission, but it's still like, you know, just 4 players max still. I don't know. Be really cool. New missions, which is obviously very, you know, attached. They want to make new missions, though no concrete plans as of now, which makes perfect sense. And yeah, they want to because they also meant they sort of were fairly specific at one point about the kind of mission that they want to make, or at least the next one being something much more simple, which I'd absolutely love to see.
Because they've got no plans, it kind of makes me think we're definitely not getting a game mode this season, like season 5. So we're looking at, if there's no game mode, then that kind of whittles it down a fair amount to what we could start expecting. Yeah.
Well, remember, hold on, because part of the reason why we do this is so we can clear some things up. This is still going to be pretty early in season 5's development, if it is in it at all. And these guys are not the heads either. These are things to keep in mind. Especially with the way they say they want to make new missions. Like I don't think it makes it much less likely. I'm not saying it's likely either for season 5 specifically, but just take it with a grain of salt, please. Anyway, days anyway, right? You don't have anything to say?
Am I saying anything?
Well, I almost thought you tried to say something.
I did.
Okay. Suggestion: expand the union chapters, add guild/clans. No plans. Johan thinks it would be cool. Johan, you're cool. Johan, you are cool.
It's interesting because that's obviously they've said other things about that hasn't been said there, which I feel like is worth saying, that they kind of can't.
Yeah.
Like the person that did it is gone. It would be a whole thing. They would have to redo it essentially.
But they kind of should, because it's a good idea.
Yeah,
and it's like a really cool system that could be the back of an entire season without having to introduce new enemies or anything like that. Like,
also, I think it's a pretty cool thing where, like, even though I would say maybe separate it from the Discord thing, even if they did, Discord is really integrating itself into Xbox now. Like, there's constantly like things where they're like intertwining themselves more. So even if it is Discord, we're looking like it probably would be on Xbox and like Game Pass version as well. Like the Microsoft version is, yeah, it could still probably run Discord, or whatever that is.
Yeah. All right. Suggestion: make every class have a cryo option. It's intentional that some classes don't have certain elemental options, which was always assumed, but it's actually kind of good to hear. To be honest,
it's confirming that essentially Gunner and Engineer are never getting cryo,
and Driller's never getting electricity.
Maybe. I don't see why.
And Engineer's never getting poison of any kind, I guess.
Maybe. I feel like cryo is really the most intentional one. Pheromones is probably there as well. That they're probably happy with just Scout having the only access to pheromones. I could see that being a thing. But yeah, it's good that they actually are thinking about it. Like that's confirmation. I don't think we've ever been like that's been confirmed, has it? Until now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's awkward because it doesn't, just because it's like an on face value bad idea does not mean there doesn't exist an overclock for any of Engineers or Gunners weapons that could use cryo and have it be balanced. But I guess the fact that it is pretty much just a headache anyway. Maybe it's just because it's just not worth doing. There's certain reasons that would make engineering gunner just too overpowered if they had them. They always have something somewhere that when paired with cryo would probably be too strong. I feel like engineer probably has it worst because it's just the fact that he has turrets would almost make cryo too strong. But then gunner, there's always a way to do it. Like if it's a primary thing, then you just whip out suddenly elephant rounds and lead spray are overpowered as hell, and then you flip it around. Pretty much any minigun build is going to become really overpowered as well. It's like, yeah, I really get it. I mean, I want to see it, but I understand. All right, so for obvious reasons, we're going to ignore that. I don't know if you've read it.
It's a bit odd.
Yeah. I think we've loot bug petting zoo has actually come up before as well. Mike is apparently hard at work on that. Editors note it's a running gag. Mike hates the idea. Okay. Okay. No, I think the idea of having creatures on the space rig has been going on for so long. I think we're getting to a point where there should be something. You know, people want Steve in like just a little pen or something, or loot bugs. Maybe like a loot bug. Like maybe we could have like a prison on the space rig. There's bugs in it. I don't know.
You would pet them, then it would be a petting zoo, even if it looks really, really nightmarish.
The loot bug petting zoo would be like a spherical room, I reckon. Because you can't just pen them up because they'll just climb over. Unless you have it like electric fences. Yeah. Mini mules in point extraction. If there's one lesson we should take from DRG, it's that mini mules break really easily. Okay. I mean, I don't know why this person wants them in point extraction anyway. Guns on Molly and mini mules like Betsy has. Betsy kind of murders. That's a great response. That's a great response.
Yeah.
Really insightful.
Molly also murders dwarves.
Yes, she does. The mini mules don't because they don't have collision. If they did, it'd probably be even worse. Customize the pool of victory poses to play. That would be a nice quality of life addition. Yeah, it's actually genuinely a good idea. This one, I think, because it's one of the few things where you just can click random and it's just going to play from all of them. So you've either got to face that or you've got to pick one. So yeah, that would be nice. I mean, it sounds a little bit small. It sounds like complex but small at the same time. So I don't know how worthwhile it is, but
I could very much see that being what we're getting next season. Genuinely, that being one of the quality of life ones, like the sleeveless or copy and pasting. This, like the fact that.
What about the next one? Browse through cosmetics as sets. Jacob would like seasonal cosmetics to have a tag like DLC cosmetics too. Maybe some sorting options too. Now that first one though, like the holiday stuff having a tag like DLC, that's a perfectly good idea as well. That's a very simple one as well. That would separate that stuff.
Holiday, or I think with seasonal or seasonal, like.
Oh, it could do. I mean, that would also be great as well.
Both work. If it's Christmas, it should have like a little Christmas icon on them. If it's like that, and if it's like season 1, season 2, season 3, season 4, and then I don't know, the other ones you would either have nothing or find one for them.
Or like where they came from, I guess, would be another thing.
Yeah, but ultimately you would then still have to memorize which of the cosmetics was in which, right?
Yes.
You would have to think of like which season did I get that bald glasses cosmetic, and then you'd have to rummage around still to find it. But on any sort of like sorting is needed with headgears because it is too much. It's just too much. It's so fucking difficult to find things, and it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, I mean, I want them to do that. I also just want them to make less headgears. Not just because it's bloated, but I just want to see more other things in general anyway. I kind
of don't, to be honest with you. The moustaches ones have all been a bunch of nothing. The beards, I think maybe they've added 1 or 2 good beards, like since seasons. I mean, probably more actually. But like, it's not like they're actually particularly good at the other stuff. But I guess that's because they're barely doing other stuff as well. They haven't touched eyebrows. They haven't touched skin color. They haven't touched some of
skin color's the biggest one, for me. I think I think it's pretty actually straightforward. Like that's a big one, especially with how much skin we can show now. Especially, come on.
Yeah.
Read that if you want. Sandwich is on the space rig. They're still figuring out the recipe for a sandwich, and the mayo keeps clipping. I mean, is that real?
But I'm glad the sandwiches keeps coming up because
Yeah.
it's definitely one of the ideas.
Just keep it. Just keep it going. Like keep the idea. Keep putting the idea in their heads. That's how we win. Mactera Plague, but it's Stingtails instead. Anders says, it sounds fun, I'll make it. Go ahead. Sounds horrible, but we just get Stingtail Plague. Like, if they somehow threw that in there in season 5, I would be over the moon. I'd love it. Yeah, it would actually be a really bad idea. No, it probably shouldn't. Updated tutorial. Got updated fairly recently. What? Like, oh, for summer missions, like what Nitro is. Oh, apparently, okay, so summer missions like what Nitro is are intentional. They want people to explore on their own. So that sounds to me, though, like the tutorial doesn't necessarily need to exist that much. And you can just sort of get by on, like, the tips that people get on their first mission anyway. That's kind of how they see it.
Yeah.
As in, I kind of think you either need to phase it out in some capacity or like make it just better. Got to be one of those two things. The tutorial needs to change to some extent. It needs to be able to pick classes and have it be specific for the classes.
I've read ahead a little bit. I've gotten mad, so we need to hurry this up.
I know. Auto sprint. Yeah, I know. Auto sprint setting. Apparently, Mikkel says no.
Yeah.
Ignore. More MK armors, not unlikely. Good.
Sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Lord of the Rings / fantasy inspired cosmetics. Not going to happen. Mikkel doesn't like Lord of the Rings. Although Bracer Group owns the Lord of the Rings IP. So what does any of that mean? Well, first of all, breaks my heart.
We have found where it's come from. Why there is no fantasy elements other than them being dwarfs. This is why. Mikkel is why.
Not Mikkel's jam.
Betrayed.
This is like one of the things where it's like, how much do they just need to sacrifice their vision to satisfy a market need, you know?
I just don't quite get what the fuck Mikkel has to say about cosmetics. Like, does he hate it that much that he doesn't want a like classic dwarf cosmetic just in the game? Like, that will ruin his game in his idea.
Well, honestly, better yet, classic like dwarven armor inspired like DRG armor is, in my opinion, even better. Which is almost what Scale Brigade is. I mean, things like Warhammer, like the Marines armor, stuff like that. I almost think that's way cooler than just standard fantasy armor as well. Like, making it high tech at the same time is awesome. Like, you imagine like the Iron Hills dwarves from like The Hobbit, in the third movie, like the army of them, like their armor, but like high tech at the same time. That's incredible. And that's what I'm kind of looking for. Yeah, because that's fantasy inspired as well. So apparently, no.
He doesn't like Lord of the Rings, and because Mikkel doesn't like Lord of the Rings, the game doesn't get any cool things.
Well, that is kind of how a game director works, though.
Yeah, well, the game director's wrong, so get rid of him.
No.
Yep.
No.
Yep.
I don't think they should get rid of Mikkel. And I don't think we should say that either.
I am saying it right now.
Okay.
Moving on.
We're in danger now. Verify. Shrink range. Add income tax. So apparently it's the best idea based on the immense popularity of Jetty Boots. They're adding a tax filing minigame.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm assuming this is a joke response to the Petting Zoo one. Again, it's the one single suggestion they take seriously. Evidently, it's progressing really well. The thing is, they joke about it, but I reckon it would be very well received. That's the thing.
Obviously, they just don't want it.
Yeah. More music for the jukebox. They thought about it, but couldn't think of anything to add. DRG's jukebox already has every possible song in existence.
It's basically something of every genre.
There really is. Like, I don't think the jukebox is. I mean, the jukebox could be expanded in a really like haphazard way, where they just add a bunch of like fan submitted tracks. But apart from that, it's just, it doesn't need additions. All right, well, given that it's only the last two, we might as well. More uses for spare perk points. Apparently, no plans. They want to revisit the perk system at some point, but on the other hand, they've been saying that for 2 years. Yes, you have. So get to it. Come on. That's the one thing I want, is just them to be able to say that they're doing it. That's one of the only things I want.
It's the only thing they need to do. Like, there is nothing else. There is nothing else.
Also that, and actually that's not even just that, that's a big part of it, in fact.
Yeah. Like, there is nothing else.
It's one of the things that actually brings me some of the most concern, is their inability to just say they're doing it. Because it's almost like, because they don't want to say that they're doing it, because they're actually going to have to do it. I don't know. This is one of the things that's going to continue to irk me though until it happens. To be honest, and it's going to continue to irk everyone.
It's going to irk me even when it does happen. If it happens in like 2 more years, like right now, they should be doing it. If they do it any later than right now, they're wrong. And that will continue to be the case and only get worse the longer they're not doing it.
Because yes, exactly. That's another really basic and strong argument. It's just like, maybe it's difficult because you've been thinking about it for a long time, therefore it's like hard to land on an option, but obviously it's just going to get worse the longer you go on as well.
Yeah, like I think this is the thing, because last season we didn't blame them, gave them the pass, but this season I will be comparing any and all content to how good is this compared to a possible full-on perk rework. Like, would I have preferred this over a perk rework? And that's how I'm going to be approaching some of the new content, like, or a layer of that I'm going to be approaching it. Like, was this content worth not getting a perk rework? Because well, if we do get one, then obviously I wouldn't have to say that. But like, from now on, that's how I should see it, because there's nothing else I think is more valuable. And I think we'll see if it, depending on what we get in season 5. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it's concerning, very, very concerning. Considering that's basically the only thing anyone wants, like audibly, other than stupid fucking petting zoos and a 5th class that's a medic. Like, the only other valid thing that like everything else that is as commonly said as like relating to perk points or the perk system is stuff that they're not doing, right? It's another set of weapons, it's overclock for traversal tools, it's a shooting range, it's a water biome. All those things are very commonly seen, but they're never doing it. But the perk rework, and talking about perks, as common as the other ones, and they want to do it. So I do not know why we wouldn't get it. Like, everybody wants it. It's the most requested thing, and it's the thing that they have been as open as possible about wanting to do themselves.
Yeah, it's just like, why doesn't that automatically equate to them being able to say that they're doing it? Like, why is this not? Why is everything, all the cumulative discourse about it, how is that not enough? Yeah,
it's steadily approaching the point.
Well, it's either that it's not enough or it's already too much, but that's still a stupid thing. Whereas like it's all, where it's been going on too long, so it's like a headache. But it's like, yeah, but that's why you've got to do it now. Whatever way you spin it,
Yeah, it is approaching the point where it's like, what is the only reason why they haven't done it? And obviously, I don't think we're approaching that point, but that point is starting to come up, because there's no reason why they shouldn't do it for season 5. It is the best shout. But if they don't do it season 5, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to take them a while, right? Maybe it's going to take them, like, they're slightly working on it now so they can actually start doing it. Like, they know it's not going to take them, like, this amount of time. It's going to be, like, a year's worth of work, maybe, right? That's fair. And then season 6 will come out, and if that's not on there, like, uh-oh. And it will get to the point where it's like, what could be the only possible reason why they haven't done it? Oh, they can't. It will be a skill diff at that point. It would feel like
skill issue.
Why it's already that point where it's like, The only reason why they shouldn't do it is if they literally can't do it. They can't think of a better way of doing it, and even if they can, they can't actually do it because of reasons, right? Technical shit or something like that. Like that's if we don't get it in like 2 years, that's what I'm sold on, because like if it yeah, but for now it's just I don't know. I do not understand why they haven't been like green flags perk rework. It doesn't make any sense to me, um, except for the fact that they genuinely they can't crack it and they haven't cracked it yet. They can't figure out a better perk system, which I didn't think would be hard.
No,
Is
it's not. By the way, like it's really not. Even if you can't fix, even if you can't improve every part of it, it's so simple. And I'm not going to get into that now, because let's get this. There's one more. There's one more, and it's nothing. It's a joke. Suggestion: collab with other games. Apparently, they're working on a collab with the game called Chess. They don't know who's behind it though. Some lazy devs probably. I wouldn't use those words. Not that we think they're lazy, but still. Sure, chess. Add chess. Don't actually. That would probably be a lot of work. Like trying to put chess in the space that would probably not be easy. Like programming chess, and this is something that does it for you. Programming chess sounds like a pain in the ass.
You would just grab like a chess thing. You could probably there is probably a code for a game of chess just on the internet that you can just copy and paste and like allowed, and then you basically just have to make the chess models, add the code of getting the dwarves to play it, and then you basically be that, and then add it so like at any given point a dwarf can press the rock and stone button and just smash the bloody chessboard, and then like the game ends.
Oh, awesome! Literally, I love that the guy where he moves one piece and then the other guy immediately just swipes across the entire board. Just immediate. Honestly though, I mean, deep rock chess would be kind of neat. Like actually,
I think if they lean into like the fact that that's really really silly, and do that thing where the dwarfs at any given moment can just destroy the entire thing. Like ultimately, if you're paying too much attention and really trying, that the other person can just completely destroy the fucking game, and so you don't get to win or anything, which I think would be funny. Plus, yeah, I don't know, it's another time wasting thing. I don't know. It would go in the bar, I assume, as well.
Well, I mean, I was talking about it as an actual board game, like from the board game guys.
Right.
Like make.
And what the pieces would be. What?
Well, yeah, I was thinking about the dwarf side and how that would be handled. Because I feel like Glyphid, it's like, well, I guess there's like a lot of sides as well, isn't there? But I guess it would be Glyphids versus just aliens versus dwarves. But it's like, which is one side's easier to imagine than the other. It's like, so the dwarves. Are some of the dwarves pawns, or are like the four main dwarves? Are they like the king, queen, and bishops, or is like the front row like mini mules, or is it all like scouts? Are they the pawns? Scouts.
I think Boscos. The pawns could be a bunch of Boscos.
I feel like the dwarves should almost be like the outer ones.
Yeah, the queen would be mission control.
Oh my god. No, queen would be like Molly or Doretta or something.
Right, then the king would be mission control.
That's horrible. Yeah. Well, because what are the others? Like bishop, knight, and am I missing one? Bishop, knight, and rook. I'm not missing anything there, am I?
I think so.
How'd that work then?
There's the diagonal, there's the forward, and there's the horse.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, realistically, you could then do basically you could have one of them be pawns, and there'd be lots of them. Big in scout.
Yeah, scout. Scout's the pawn. Bishop is driller, I reckon.
Is that the one that goes forward and left?
No, it's diagonal.
No, diagonal is not driller. Driller goes forward. He
Oh yeah, okay, fine. Driller can be the rook, which is terrifying. Yeah. Bishop. Because I feel like the knight has to be engineer.
Yeah. Diagonal's gunner because zipline, and then engineer is the complicated one.
Horse, knight, horse. There you go, DRG chess. Now I can put that in the thumbnail. It was originally going to be an angry Mickle looking at the Lord of the Rings logo, but I think it still will be, actually. But some chess in there as well. All right, well, imagine if I refresh it. I mean, I know nothing's going to come up, but right. All right, that was the dev Q&A. Just the dev Q&A. I don't know what we do. What do we call these? They're not. It's not breakdown. It's just dev Q&A. Even though that's really like probably not the right way to put it. You know, in like really plain terms, it's probably not accurate. Either way, that was the dev Q&A stuff for August this year. It's over.
It's all over now.
If you enjoyed this, you can like and subscribe. And if you want to stay on top of this stuff and stay on top of anything to do with Deep Rock, so except the board game, then you can also click the bell. And with that, that has been Barrel Vision.
We don't do Survivor stuff either.
Oh, no, we don't.
We don't really cover the publishing.
No.
So, but that's actually related to the Deep Rock, in all fairness.
Yeah, exactly. I'm still completely. Jesus Christ! I'm just glowing at this point in the sun.
Glowing. All right. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya.
Well, I would.
Bit weird.